On today's episode of That Was Us, we will be discussing Season 1, Episode 12, The Big Day. Rebecca forgets Jack's birthday, the birth of the big three fast approaches, Dr. K struggles with the loss of his wife, and firefighter Joe prays for a miracle.
Here we are, guys, back with That Was Us.
Yes,
I'm just going to jump in very quickly and say I hope you are enjoying our show. And if you are, please rate, review, subscribe, tell all your friends and family that we are doing this podcast, rewatch the show with us, leave us an emotional support hotline voicemail, send us a video, an email, thatwasuspod@gmail.com.
If you want to keep hearing these episodes, you can also support our sponsors.
And we have some dynamite sponsors, so
really
I think
do.
it's pretty easy to support them.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. On to the show. How's
Episode
everybody?
12, Season 1.
Who wants to start this off? Let's talk. I mean, Manny Moore, I love and adore
Here's
you.
what I will say.
What?
As we jump into this. So this was yet another one of Dan Fogelman's genius ideas of shaking up the format of the show,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're already jumping around in time. We don't know what time period we're going to find the Pearsons in on any given episode. And this episode kind of was different in the sense that we are meeting... We quickly come to realize we are meeting Jack and Rebecca on Jack's birthday, which is when the triplets were born.
Yes.
And we are following them on what happened throughout the course of the day before the pilot.
Yeah.
We join up with the pilot at a certain point. But we were also following the story of Dr. K on the day the triplets were born.
Yes.
And firefighter Joe.
That's right.
Who found Randall at his fire station.
And another different thing about this episode is that for the first time, I'm not sure what happened. Don't ask me what happened. For the first time in this podcast, this is not a rewatch podcast for me. This was the first time I've seen this episode.
Oh, you hadn't seen it before?
What?
You skipped 12?
Don't know how it happened.
Get out of here!
I did not intentionally skip 12.
No way!
But somewhere along the line, I'm watching this episode and I'm going, this is for me, this is a new
So much
episode
new
of This
information.
Is Us. And I was like, how did I miss this episode? So I don't know what happened back in those days, but it was very exciting.
So
can't
your
wait to hear-
insight is
It's going to be very different.
valued.
Because I'll have one hot take.
What's your hot take?
It's a hot take.
Do it.
I'm scared.
No.
I enjoyed the episode.
This is not a hot take.
Nope. I did not enjoy the Fireman Joe storyline.
Okay, that's not a hot take.
What?
Why?
Okay, why?
That's the question?
Because
Yeah, okay. I was trying to figure this out for myself too. Watching it as a fan, it was sort of this moment that I had. And I remember watching things like this on social, being like, where are Randall and Kate and Kevin?
Yeah, this
Right?
is the first episode.
This is the first one that we're
where,
not in.
where no one else is in
None
it.
of the
Right.
adult
It's
kids
all
are
in the past.
all in the past, right now. And I guess I was like, Fireman Joe's having a difficult time with his marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I can relate to that. But I think what it was like, I don't know you, and I don't know what you have to do with the Pearsons. That was really like the feeling that I had at the beginning of the thing.
That's interesting.
So I'm curious.
Since I was watching it for the first time.
Yes.
And I had just recently rewatched
The pilot.
the pilot.
Yes.
I was like, for a second, I was like, who is this? Oh, firefighter. Oh, he's the guy from and I really liked.
You did.
I did.
This is good.
I did because
What
it all.
Sorry.
Go.
No,
No.
no,
Go,
what I
Mandy.
was saying to my husband as we were watching it, I was like, wow, casting is pretty genius because you are casting a pilot, you're casting a 1-line, 2-line role
Sure.
in a pilot, not thinking eventually this person will be a third of an entire episode of a television drama.
That's right.
And he did a great job, I thought. I agree.
Yeah.
as seasons progress and we understand that the format is so wild on our show that you can be introduced to people and then you will eventually live with them and understand their role in the Pearsons' life. And this doesn't really factor back in ever again. I do appreciate what he brought to the table. I appreciate that you're sort of like, are they gonna adopt Randall, or that,
Right.
Because it does open up a door to casting, to the writers. Everyone has to be on their toes. You cannot be casting anybody for one line, and This Is Us.
Yeah, without the realization of like, this could be so much more down the road.
Right,
yeah.
Because what you do kind of realize is, like, when you think back to the pilot is, well, when he saw Jack at the window, he was kind of cavalier about smoking and dropping this baby off.
Right.
Like, and then you realize, oh, there's a whole backstory.
There's a whole backstory
that maybe wasn't quite fully developed when they shot the pilot.
Sure.
Right?
You guys liked it better than me.
I mean, I liked him.
I thought he was great. I thought she was great too.
Yeah.
His wife is really good.
Yeah.
You guys liked it better than me. And I'm okay with
But
that.
but I appreciate your hot take, because I agree this is not a story that like really factors into the larger macro picture of this family in any meaningful way.
And hopefully this starts a new segment on our show called Hot Takes. Like, I don't know what the music is. Yo! That's a hot take!
There's definitely some sort of guitar riff
underneath it. Okay, I appreciate it.
But
I tell you what was awesome. It was Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore, Milo Ventimiglia, and just sort of seeing, and you can comment on this now. I'm curious because you'd never been pregnant before when we shot this show. And you see all the good times of pregnant and playing the Stevie Wonder music and everything's good until it's not.
Ooh.
In your experience, is that how it goes down?
Yeah. Yeah. By the time I was like, I am not there yet physically in this pregnancy, but everyone eventually gets there.
Sure.
And I cannot imagine what it's like to be that pregnant with 3. My grievance was watching it. I was like, oh, she'd be in way more pain.
She would be hospitalized.
Yeah, correct.
Like at this level of the pregnancy,
There's
today,
probably like bed rest.
Today,
for,
exactly.
That woman is in the hospital.
She's not allowed to be
no
duct taping flip-flops on and like walking to go get some cake mix. Like that is absurd.
Okay, so how did you feel watching?
Hey, hot take!
Hot take!
This episode's going to be full of hot takes.
Well, how did you feel watching Rebecca's treatment of Jack? Because I know we were talking before about how like a lot of people are like, how dare you treat this man, and you don't understand what's a good. But you're also on the day that you realize that this is like your delivery day.
Yeah,
I liked it. Screw Jack Pearson. Hot take! Take that, Jack Pearson. You did this to me.
Oh, man.
3 babies with your super sperm.
Has Mandy Moore ever been sort of like frustrated with Taylor?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. We were watching this and I was like, yeah. You recognize that?
Uh-huh.
This happened before it happened in real life.
Yeah, and Taylor was like, yeah, yesterday was my birthday.
I mean, it's funny. I love seeing, I had forgotten this episode. I love seeing those colors.
Yes.
For Rebecca. It's the reality of like what it means to truly be a pregnant person. It's like you love being pregnant, you hate being pregnant. This is what I wrote down. Like the nesting is so real. Like that I really glommed onto.
Sure.
Like this is what a man will never fully understand. Your partner is like the frustration of the house being not ready for these babies. Like it is a fundamental chemical thing that happens inside of you that you want calm and comfort and not the chaos.
Right.
And there is no winning. Like he was such a great sport about it. Like he really was perfect and submitted and understood like this is where we are, this is the juncture, she's about to have these babies, like I'm just gonna shut up and put up with it and do whatever I have to do. And even though she's forgotten my birthday,
completely.
And I love the realization of like just the sort of the switch when Rebecca does realize like I am an absolute monster and I have forgotten like this man's birthday, and he is perfect. And the whole sort of like soliloquy she gives the convenience store worker when she's like, you don't understand like what I have put this man through for the last 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's his birthday today, and I do this thing for him, and I'm just unprepared. And she's at her wit's end.
His wit's end. Also,
you heard it here. Mandy Moore thinks that Rebecca Pearson is a monster. What were you going to say,
she's a monster. Breaking news. Breaking news.
There's you talk oftentimes, not oftentimes, but you'll say like, I'm not funny or whatnot. I thought you were really funny in this episode.
Oh, thanks.
I also really enjoyed, hey, thanks again for the bathroom sex at Froggy's, Jack. I thought the delivery was delightful.
Kick the screen door open. Hey!
Thanks
again.
I mean, it was just like twisting the knife.
Yeah. And then it took me a minute to realize it's like, oh, it's his birthday. And so you catch up with Jack. He's out with Miguel at the golf course. Is that like when
Miguel says, come on, we'll go. Yeah. We'll take you golfing.
We'll hang in, we'll be cool and everything. And then Jack's talking to his buddies in the pro shop. And they're like, oh man, it's 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
They can't get to us and everything. And I always love to listen. I love to watch Milo Ventimiglia as Jack Pearson listen to like lesser men. I love
Yes.
I love to see him just take them in. It's like, you guys are trash.
Yeah.
And I aspire to be better than all of you because I
like being with my wife. I want to be with my kids.
All like, even though all the things you say are true, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than right there.
Yeah.
You know? And then what the guy says is like, this guy's gonna make the rest of us look bad.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. And he pretty much did that.
It is such an interesting, like, there seem to be these evolutions of manhood, at least in the 80s, where it's like, all right, your first set of golf clubs, your first polo shirt.
Yeah, your rite of passage.
And you can kind of see Miguel making these leaps, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I guess I play golf now. And I've had family members and friends who are like who are like, I remember you running laps around the block drunk and high when we were in Chicago.
Yeah.
We couldn't find you because you decided to go jogging at 2:30 in the morning.
And now you're golfing?
And now you're golfing. Why? Because
that's what
society tells you.
Right.
Okay.
And being the iconic class that he is, Pearson's like, I'm just going to be true to who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. Then you see them come together. You see like everything that goes into like the birthday dance. You see her put her lingerie on top of because it doesn't.
It was, where we kind of melded pilot footage, which was sort of tricky because, my hair was different.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about like how you look different for the pilot versus like showing up for episode 2. Mm-hmm. Same, like I had cut bangs, and not that was a really big deal, but for
kind of a hot take.
A hot take.
These
for
days.
a couple of months later to then have to match the pilot again. These are things that like you don't often think about or worry about. But we truly, like frame for frame, had to shoot things a certain way, match things a certain way.
Milo had gained a little weight, so it was like it's hard to.
But it's all in the booty, so it was fine.
That might have been a fake beard. We went back and forth so many times, so often with Milo because it was the mustache.
We should play that game with his character actually, and anybody listening, spot the fake beard because it's really hard to do.
It is so hard
because our makeup department
Shout
is
out
that
to
good.
Zoe Hay. Yes,
Zoe Hay is exceptional.
He was mostly mustachioed in real life throughout the show.
He kept the mustache so you could either add whatever you needed to
beard
add to
or
it.
And
goatee.
let me tell you, as someone who had to kiss him a lot, I had so much gross, loose hair.
Yeah, just in your mouth.
In my mouth.
Listen,
tell us all. Slow down and tell us all about it.
Let's hear it.
Detail by detail. No, it's because part of like the beard, the process to put
you
the
talk
beard
about
on.
it and I'll make this sound.
Audio
people love that.
There are like loose hairs sort of glued onto the foundation of
I would
a goatee,
get it every once in a while,
right? And it's not a hot thing to kiss.
It's not, because also the way that Jack and Rebecca, they open their mouths.
Yeah, like there's passion.
Pretty wide.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get hairs.
Yeah. In the
hairs
mouth.
in there.
Yeah. It was the mouth. More That Was Us after this short break. all over my bathroom floor, permanently stuck in my vacuum. I'd find it on my pillow. My hair. The never-ending shedding was real, but not since I discovered Vegamore's brand new Grow Plus Advanced Hair System. My hair really started shedding in postpartum, but Vegamore has really, really helped so much with that. I've been using it on and off for the last couple of years, and I really see a difference when I'm consistent with it.
We are excited to partner with Vegamore because the results are real, the ingredients are clean, and as we and many of our listeners have seen, it's legit.
In a clinical study, the Grow Plus Advanced Hair Serum reduced shedding by up to 87% and improved hair density when used daily for 4 months. It has skincare-inspired ingredients like Spanish microalgae, which is a prebiotic scalp superfood that nurtures the skin barrier.
Vegamore used artificial intelligence to find 2 super potent hair densifying compounds, Japanese beautyberry and encapsulated raponic rhubarb. These 2 plant compounds form Vegamore's patent-pending GrowActive Plus complex.
If you're ready to start your journey to healthier hair and scalp, look no further than Vegamore. Check out their GRO Essentials Kit. It's packed with awesome products and helps you save money, too.
Take on the most advanced approach to hair wellness with Vegamore's new Grow Plus Advanced System. Learn more at Vegamore.com now. That's Vegamore.com/TWU, code TWU to save 20% on your first order. Vegamore.com/TWU, code TWU.
We are thrilled to celebrate 15 episodes of That Was Us. Throughout our journey, we have relived so many powerful moments of the Pearsons facing challenges and supporting each other. And we have been so proud to partner with Talkspace. We highly recommend visiting their website to get started with a reliable therapy service that is always just a click away.
Talkspace therapists are licensed and trained to meet your therapy needs, and they are incredibly accessible. You can easily schedule sessions from your computer or phone, and you have the convenience of messaging your therapist whenever you need.
And we really mean your therapist, not just a therapist. Talkspace prioritizes building a safe and supportive relationship with a therapist that makes sense for you, offering specialized services for individuals, couples, the LGBTQIA+ community, veterans, and teens. Whoever needs help, however they need it, that's what Talkspace does best.
Day in and day out, therapy is the one constant and consistent thing that I have been able to rely on in my life. It's truly the greatest gift you could give yourself.
Therapy is a huge tool in my life. I have been to many different kinds of therapy, and I've changed therapists a lot. And Talkspace makes that easy to do. Couples therapy, individual therapy, trauma therapy. They've got everything you could possibly need.
So get started today. Many employers and insurance plans work with Talkspace to make the service accessible. Talkspace insured members pay a copay of $30 or less, so you don't have to deal with the financial stress of getting help.
As a listener of the podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/TWU and enter promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/TWU and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off of your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/TWU, promo code SPACE80.
This was an episode also directed by Ken Olin. I believe at this point, Ken had only done one other episode.
Is that right?
Yeah, this is like for series, for a BTS look, I feel like Ken Olin is a director producer on our show. And so oftentimes that means, he's kind of overseeing things from a macro point of view on the show. And it often means that they come in and direct many, many episodes. Sure. And over the course of the series, Ken he directed 50 or something
more
crazy.
Than anybody else.
More than anyone else. He knew the show and the characters and stuff. But at this point, I felt a very instant, deep connection with Ken from
You did. I remember this.
From the minute that he was brought on board. I remember going to his office in the early days and talking about the show. And I think because of his experience on 30-something and everything that he sort of brought to the table, being a part of a very celebrated family, drama in that sense. He had a very specific perspective. And I loved him as a director. I loved how thoughtful he was about these characters and the direction that he would give, even though, bless him, cannot complete a full sentence to save his life.
Oh, can't complete a effing sentence.
Effing sentence to save his life. But I just remember this episode in particular being so special, like it more so than even episode 2, which he directed, just feeling like, oh, we're safe. We're in really good hands. And this is such a specific episode because it's, you know, it's really centering these 3 stories in such a like foundational way.
Yeah.
I especially that scene where I'm talking to the babies.
That scene is outstanding.
Oh,
I put smiley
thanks.
faces next to ones that really hit. I was like,
Really?
Mandy Moore acting by herself.
Yeah.
But killing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wearing that weird fake belly, like so bizarre. And then Milo, who is a photographer himself, so he was always very invested in like anytime Jack had to like photograph something or like be the videographer, Milo like really relished that role. And like working with Yasu, our DP, and figuring all of that out was great because this footage that Jack shot like came back around again at the end of the episode in a really beautiful way that I absolutely like. Some of these scenes you watch and you're like, oh, like I have this like very visceral memory of shooting the scene with the little big 3, watching the footage of that particular footage. I remember like setting it up and how complicated it was, but it was very us eating popcorn and just how much fun we were having. Like it was something that just like stuck in my brain.
Let's go. You want to talk
Dr.
about
K?
Dr. K?
This storyline
Gerald McCraney
killed me.
Real quick, just because this is interesting. I'm saying this from my brother Armin Slaughter, whose wife of 31 years passed away recently. And just sort of watching him deal with the grief of losing his partner, his life partner, and how difficult and, you know, people sort of want to say like, hey, you know, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
And that, you know, grief is something that you have to allow space for yourself. And hopefully other people, your community, give you that space as well.
Sure.
And what we see is a man who's in the midst of, you know, while it's been 14 months, but his partner of 53 years has been absent from his life, and he's trying to figure out how do I move forward without her. And it's so interesting because we see from the pilot this man who kind of seems to have all the answers and all this wisdom to share with other people. And it's sort of a really interesting thing to know that you can hold both of those things, that you can have something of benefit to share with people and also be really struggling with what it is that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To not know how to take your own
Advice.
I heard someone say, you cannot have wisdom, you can only be wise, which is an interesting way of thinking about how you have processed the things in your life and how you communicate those things to other people.
Yeah.
And what I have learned may have no context for you or you. It may just be for me.
Right.
Sure.
And maybe it applies to somebody else. And I think what we've learned about our show is that it applies to quite a few people.
Yeah.
But the I guess the kind of realization that when I'm starting to understand why people pegged this show as the sad show or as the crying show, but what it really is a show about grief and all of the different ways that it manifests itself, all of the different times in our life when we're faced with it, and all of the different ways to process it and to work through it. And I guess when I'm realizing, especially with the Dr. K storyline in this episode, was that it didn't, his grief to me didn't feel sad. And I don't know.
It was like a comfort to him or something, because it still allowed him a piece of his wife.
Right. Yeah. And it didn't, there was intention to it with the rituals and her things and the morning breakfast and the conversation.
Yeah, talking to her.
And there's joy in that intentionality.
Sure.
Even if it is around grief or around grieving.
Right.
Especially seeing the episode for my first time.
Yeah.
That's right. You were seeing it for the first time. I mean, but because he was still, acknowledging the presence of his partner in his life, even though her physical being wasn't there.
Right.
She's still there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens by the end, which I liked, because when he was in the grocery store and that old Fine Ann was talking to him.
Excuse me, that lady was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Old Fine Ann was talking to
Gorgeous.
him. And I was like, hey
Fine
man,
Ann.
Fine Ann asking you to dinner. She will cook you food
Yeah.
and make you nourishment and keep you healthy.
Yes.
You better accept that.
Yeah.
And so I do like the idea that like you can still acknowledge the presence of your partner in your life. And at the end of the episode, he took her up on that dinner. It made me happy.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. It's holding, being able to hold both things.
Yes.
To say that my grief is real.
Yeah.
And it is painful.
Yeah.
And to not allow the grief to outshine the joy of being alive.
Yeah.
Of still being a doctor, still being a father, still being a whatever the thing is.
Yes.
And
being able to hold
what
both.
Jack and Rebecca went through helped unlock in him, right? I mean, that was the point.
When
like,
in need, sow a seed.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're going through something, if you are able to give something to someone else, like it actually helps you move through whatever it is that you're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges that, like, because
Yeah.
he talks to her and is like, I helped a couple today who lost their child. You know, it's like,
Right.
I didn't realize just how much Dr. K was peppered into this first season.
Neither
it
did
really
I.
took me by surprise. Like,
It did.
just the little moments that we've seen of him so far in
Yes.
these episodes. And it's a beautiful surprise. I mean, I loved any time I saw Gerald in the script and Gerald on the call sheet, but
Yeah.
it's
I can't wait to see how the future seasons unfold because so many of the iconic moments that live in my head, I've already seen them
Sure.
in the first 12 episodes of season
Yeah.
1. And I'm like, what am I missing? And I've got like 5 more seasons of stories.
Buckle up,
6 more
Sully.
episodes
Yeah.
of this season. Yeah.
Turns out,
and some of the biggest moments yet still.
Yes.
turns out I
And
haven't
see,
seen
he's
30
like,
episodes.
Listen,
I'm like 6 seasons.
it may be one of those things where Sal just said, like, I'm not watching episodes I'm not in. And then I'll just be delightfully surprised.
If it happens again and I'm not in the episode, you'll be like, oh, I see what happened.
We see the pattern here.
I see the pattern. I see the pattern.
Gerald is now, I'm shooting a different show for Hulu right now. He plays a character that is completely different. And it's a testimony to how beautiful an actor is because he's kind of evil in this one.
Ooh.
And he's kind of heart and soul of season 1 of This Is Us.
Yeah, he's kind of the heart and soul of the show. Very much
Yeah.
like akin to William in a way. Like
Yes.
there is like I think that's why he came back on the train in season 6. Like he's such an indelible part of the Pearson family.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't know in our life where we're going to get those parental figures or father figures, mother figures.
Yeah.
And Jack certainly needed a little Dr. K.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to see how he kind of plugs into Jack's psyche.
For sure.
And literally forms the motto of the entire Pearson.
Mantra
is true.
of our
The
show.
mantra.
It's true that Jack shares with us. Well said. There's something really interesting that I did connect with as a married man of 18 years, of getting to that place in your marriage and you're just trying to figure out what is, and I'll put it in quotation marks, wrong. We are missing each other.
Yeah.
There are two people and
Living parallel lives.
Living parallel lives and not mean, not angry at each other, but just not connected to each other.
Sure.
And so desperate times call for desperate measures. And there was something really interesting about him being like, maybe this baby is the thing
It's a sign.
that could save us.
Right.
And then there was something really refreshing about his wife, because here's the truth. If you are having problems before your parents, those problems do not go away when
They're
you become,
exacerbated.
Come
Yes.
on now,
Yeah.
sis.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
all understand, right?
Yeah.
So
We do now.
his wife looking at him being like, bruh, you know, this ain't gonna say, this is not our baby, and whatever we're going through has nothing to do with this. You're a sweet man, and I appreciate you trying to do something to make us whole, but I don't think this is our path to wholeness.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Voice of reason.
Storyline was pretty cool.
Well, and it was nice how it kind of got buttoned up in that way.
Yes.
And that was it. And we moved on, and, Randall went to his rightful place.
And as far as the handbook for living goes, it's interesting to see a couple admit that.
Yes.
To finally just say, this isn't working. That's not the solution.
Right.
But this isn't working.
Yeah.
So what can we do different? And they do a hard reset.
There you go.
Yeah.
And let's start over.
Yeah. Let's shake hands and introduce ourselves to one another again like we did the night we met and move
Get
forward
into some
from there.
fireman role play,
We leave them there. We don't know what happens
get
behind
out the hose,
closed doors.
slide down the pole, whatever Is
there anything else on 112? We're getting silly now. Let's button it up.
More That Was Us after these words from our sponsors.
Listen, unless it's really, really funny, I am not a man who enjoys being pranked. I like knowing what's coming, when it's going to get here, and not to sneak up behind me and yell, gotcha. So why people would I want a gotcha phone plan?
Why is it that at some point between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets? Well, with Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotcha moments ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Years as an adult to filter through all of the difficulties of picking a cell phone provider, all of the hidden fees, all of the weird contracts, all the weird upgrades, and blah, 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 blah. Switching to Mint Mobile has made everything a lot easier.
Mint Mobile is here to save the day. Premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. Every plan from Mint Mobile comes with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. No more unexpected price hikes, overages, or random call drops.
So ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month, y'all.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/TWU. That's mintmobile.com/TWU. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/TWU.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional tax, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Okay, we are back with our favorite segment of the show, our emotional support hotline, presented by our friends at Talkspace.
That's right. Check your insurance coverage, and you can start speaking to a therapist today at Talkspace.com/TWU.
Yeah, talk to a real therapist. Don't call us for actual therapy. Please. It would be illegal, I think. Today, we have a voicemail from our fan, Nicole. So let's give that a listen.
On, let's listen.
Hi. I have tried to find a way to thank everyone, the creators and the writers and actors and everyone on this show for so long. My grandmother actually told me to start watching this show. My name is Nicole. I'm the mother of 6. And she had me watching it in 2018, right after I had a stillborn son. Oh. And it was very hard the first season, but we got through it. And the emotional support that you felt on the show from everyone was, you felt it in your real life as well. And it helped get me through that. And then later when my grandmother died, my mother and I continued to watch it along with my kids, every week. And I was the caretaker of my mother for 15 years. And then we lost my mother right before the final season. And my mother had a long battle with forgetting who she was and who we were. And I took care of her along with my kids through all of that. And then we lost her right before the final season. And it took a while to watch the final season. But when I did, the train episode really helped get through what was the worst time in my life. And the writing and the way that it was done really was something that I hoped my mom had went through in her final times. So I really just wanted to find a way to thank you guys for what you have done and this amazing show that you have created that has helped me through some of the worst times in my life, as well as a lot of my family, as we still go through a year and a half later with my mom passing, my best friend, and really connecting with the show and with the actors and writers was something that really helped us and still does when we watch and rewatch. And it keeps me connected to my mother and to my grandmother and my son. So I really just wanted to thank you guys for that. It has been really amazing going on the journey with you guys. Again, my name is Nicole.
Holy cow.
Let's call Nicole. Let's call Nicole back.
Let's call Nicole. Good gracious.
Oh, glad we have those unlimited minutes from Mint Mobile to give our new friend a call back. Let's do it. Holy.
Let's connect.
I can't speak.
I know. I'm a little floored myself.
You're going to have to call back.
Maybe she doesn't because it's a different phone.
It's Mandy.
Oh, no, this is our...
And you have reached...
We called our own emotional support hotline.
Great, cool. I called the emotional support hotline, guys.
I'm like, wait a second. I recognize that annoying voice.
Hey.
I'm like, ugh.
I was like, did we
Nothing
record?
annoying.
Did we
push
record?
Nothing annoying about that. Let's save all of that.
Leave all of that.
That was funny.
Leave it in.
That was on.
Stays in.
Good job.
I dialed the phone, just for anyone wondering.
Hello?
Nicole.
Hey.
This is Chris, Mandy, and Sterling.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, how are you guys?
How are you?
Nicole, we're incredibly moved. We just listened to your voicemail. You told us about the loss that you experienced during the course of the show and before. Mandy Moore couldn't keep herself from crying, and I had to take a lot of deep breaths. You've gone through so much, and I guess I'm happy that we were able to go through some of it with you. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for going on the journey of our show with us. How, if I may, you said thank you to us, but I'm saying thank you to you. How would you say the show was able to be of service for you?
Well, I mean, once I started watching after my grandmother pushed and pushed for quite a while, once we started watching it, we were in a very bad place. We had just lost my son. I had 4 other children to take care of, and I was taking care of my mom full time. So we had a lot going on at that time. And after watching the show, listening to, all the things that Dr. K had said to Jack was very helpful. And just watching, kind of how he made it okay for both Jack and Rebecca to grieve in different ways.
Yeah.
And make that acceptable for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we were all grieving in very different ways, and it was hard.
You are a pillar of strength. I'm so floored by your story. I'm so floored by your vulnerability and sharing it with us. It means so much. I mean, we are so grateful for the show, for the opportunity to be able to tell the story, but to connect with people like yourself who truly lived this. I mean, you are Rebecca Pearson. I mean, just my hat's off to you. We're so grateful, like Sterling said, that the show was able to keep you company and help sort of be an instruction manual in a way of like, these are some options. These are ways that people in similar situations have handled these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And how are you doing now, if
That's
I may
what I wanted to
ask?
ask.
How are you on this day?
Today we are out. We are out at my aunt's house, actually having a celebration. My kids are all in the pool. It has been rough. My mother was our Rebecca.
Oh.
So we kind of, my mom got sick and she had what is called an AVM. So she regularly would forget who she was and forget who we were. And so our lives kind of surrounded hers is the best way I can explain it. We lived life for her. What was the best way to make her comfortable and make the remaining years safe and as least stressful for her as possible. And we weren't sure how long that was going to be. It ended up being a little over 15 years that we kind of surrounded her, and just she was the magnet that held us all together and kept us all going. So once we lost her, I have an 8-year-old. She's 8 now. She was 7 at the time, Willow, and she actually kind of fell apart first. And she really lost it. There was a whole year where she was bad. And we got her into grief counseling, and through grief counseling and, kind of coping mechanisms, we got her to where she needed to be. She's still on the edge because she is autistic, so it's hard for her to express anyway.
Sure.
But she's doing much better. She is now about to go to 3rd grade. She's making better grades. She's connecting more with people. And all of my kids have learned a grieving process through this. And they're coping a little bit better.
I think it's interesting we think that something like grief is just inherent and people just know how to do it. But it's interesting for you to say that she has learned a process, that it is an unfortunate process. That is a huge part of all of our lives at some point or another.
Yeah.
Yes, each of my kids has actually coped in a different way. They've learned to process in a different way. Willow actually sleeps with my mom's pillow still. And she says that's her Nana sleeping beside her. And I have other children that they have to have a necklace of my mom's, and they wear that all the time. So each one of them is kind of doing it in a different way, and I have to learn to navigate it in a different way with each of them while still learning to navigate it for myself as well. Because losing your best friend is never an easy thing. Like, she was the only person there for me. I grew up with just me and my mom. So it's been a huge process for us. It was just us for 15 years together, living together. I say I don't know how to live. I've never lived more than a year away from my mom between the time that I turned 18 and the time that, I started taking care of her. So I don't know what life is without her, and I'm trying to learn that as well.
It sounds like you're doing it though. And you're doing a great job, Mom. You've got a lot on your plate, and you're doing it all, and you're learning and you're evolving. And I hope that you are I hope you are finding ways to nurture and care for yourself as well, because you are doing a heck of a lot. And I stand in awe.
We actually had a big success most recently, about 6 months ago. All of my children have a genetic condition, and we weren't really sure what that meant. We knew that it probably came from my mom's family, but in learning about the genetic condition, we actually learned that, all of my mom's siblings, she only has 2 remaining, and all of them have died by the age of 57, which was the age my mom died. And my grandmother lived a little bit longer than that. She was in her 80s, but all of the rest of my mom's siblings have died very young. And that is a common theme in that family. And we found out that they all had some sort of heart-related conditions. And I found out through my 7-year-old this year that she had some genetic testing done. And the genetic condition that she actually has, as do all of my children, it actually presents in her heart. She's showing signs of a hole in her heart and some other things. So we actually learned through that my mom's entire family can get some kind of help and relief just by knowing that this runs in their family.
Wow.
So that was kind of a big thing for us. And to be able to pass that on to the rest of my mom's family. We couldn't save her, but maybe we can help some of the rest of them.
Yeah. Future generations.
Yes.
Good gracious, Nicole. What a story.
And Mandy, every time you came on the screen, every time you were singing, my mom was always talking about how beautiful you were and how beautiful your voice was and what a good person she thought you were. So
thanks,
there is
Mom.
also that.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Your mom was right.
Your mom was right.
She's a good
We
person.
were just talking about that.
She loved Mandy. She also loved Sterling and Chris as well. She talked about Toby all the time. She wanted someone like Toby. She wanted someone to love her like Toby loved Kate. She loved
Don't
Toby
we
and
all?
Kate.
Don't we all? Oh, Nicole, we are so touched that this show has sort of journeyed with you in all of these different seasons of your life. We hope it can continue to do that and can continue to provide relief and answers and a comfort blanket and help you feel connected to your mom and your grandma and your son, and that you're able to share it with your kids. And we're so touched that you would take the time to tell us what the show has meant to you and for you to share your story with all of our listeners as well.
Thank you guys. It was absolutely amazing to be able to talk to you guys and to thank you guys and the writers for the amazing things that they did throughout this show and the amazing twists and turns that they created within this show.
We will share this with our writers. Fogelman doesn't watch this himself. I'm going to have to play it for him so he knows the impact that he's had on somebody's life. Yeah. God bless you and thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, Nicole.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
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 Wow.
Guys, I just want to say, because like sometimes I take it for granted and it sounds like a easy sort of like line to put out there. You can never underestimate the power of a story well told to affect people's lives, to keep them company, to just sort of like allow them to be seen so that they know they're not going through this thing by themselves. Holy moly.
It's so powerful. I mean, it's just like, it's hard to wrap your head around that. You know what I mean? It's like, this is art, this is our job, and we are, years removed from it in some ways, and also just like, it's so palpable in other ways. Like, and for someone to take the time to let people know, like, hey, this really was a comfort. This was so helpful to me at, some of my darkest, hardest, most challenging moments in life is what a gift,
All right.
That was the Talkspace Emotional
Support
Hotline segment. Yeah.
If you would like to call in, that number is 412-501-3028. We would love to hear from you.
For sure.
And we look forward to connecting with more of our fans.
Yeah.
That Was Us is filmed at The Crow and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions and Sarah Wareheim. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.